This is
Man versus Mood.
Gentlemen, how are we doing this fine, lovely Thursday afternoon?
Fucking exquisite.
Fucking exquisite. Mike, how about you?
I'm doing pretty good, actually.
Pretty damn good.
I'm gonna lose 160 pounds tomorrow.
160?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We'll get into that in a minute. We are, as you might notice already, one voice down as Jen and Sky are preparing for their big move south down to wonderful Arizona. I went to the carnage that is their move the other day, and carnage is a really good word for it because they've got trash. They had 3 pods. It was just but they had lots of help, and it looked like things were well managed to the point where it wasn't an absolute shit show like most moves are. But I could tell, and Jen will probably hear this at some point, but I think she was vibrating a little bit. She was ready for that shit to be done. She was over moving. I think anyone that's ever been involved with it knows just what kind of hell
she can
it
unpack
is.
and stay here.
Yeah, right.
Right.
I don't think that's an option.
Oh, man.
It's just, this was Tuesday that I was over there, and so they were 4 or 5 days into it already, and it's just chaos, and so it really taxes you and all the stuff that you got going on. So she just had a big smile on her face, but you could tell it was kind of like, okay, I'm ready for this shit to be over.
Moving is one of the absolute worst things ever. Like, whether you're moving yourself or whether you have people that want you to move too. It sucks all around.
It's the worst of the worst of the worst.
Yeah, my moving helped when I moved into here.
Yeah.
It was sucked.
Really?
Yeah, they were worthless. They didn't do shit.
This motherfucker
Just stood
was
around.
talking about me.
Oh yeah, sorry, you were there.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Gary, you haven't heard this story, and I'll just keep it real quick. But the last time I moved, we had 13 hours to get out of the house. So I'll tell you that story another time. But yeah, that wasn't fun.
No.
But anyway, so we got some visitors. Hola. This is we need an on-air sign above the door out there.
Right.
Anyway, we haven't seen each other in a while, so we got to cover what we're feeling blessed about right now. Gary, you want to start?
Honestly, like I'm feeling blessed to be here. I'm feeling blessed to wake up and see another day. It's good to wake up and try to conquer some more goals and try to attain some new things. Something else is, so I just had another child.
There it is, everyone. There it is. The cape comes, or the cover comes off.
Just
congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Just a while back, little Royal, and it's crazy. Like I looked at pictures of my first son, the 16-year-old, and like I put them side by side, and they're identical.
Really?
Like spitting images. It's the craziest thing. I'll show you guys later, but yeah, it's just exciting. I mean, I'm just excited, and just to see him, for the first time is one of the most precious things like anybody could ever see. And I think that when I seen him, like it really made me like kind of double down and kind of think like, damn, like I have to focus and I have to do X, Y, and Z so I can, be better for him and show him better than I was shown as a child, you know? So
set the precedent for him and your other son. What's Big Brother think?
He is super excited. I honestly didn't realize that he loves babies so much,
Really?
but like he loves babies. Like,
good. This hopefully will keep him busy
let's
for a
hope
while.
it keeps fixes his baby face so he don't have none.
Yeah,
right.
Need that.
Evan, if you're listening, do not have any babies.
Yeah,
right now.
right. Exactly. But yeah, like he was holding him and playing with him and just bouncing him around and talking to him and saying, hey, little bro and stuff like that. And it was beautiful. I loved it. So.
That's awesome. My sister and I are the same age difference. My sister is 16 years older than me. So
okay. Wow.
It's a big gap,
Yeah.
but once you get older, obviously it kind of goes away. But it's definitely a different dynamic for sure. So
Yeah.
Mike, what about you?
Well, since I've seen you guys, I don't know, man. It's been a rough, tough couple weeks actually, but I'm grateful for the time that I had with my grandma before she passed. Getting able to be there with her and see a lot of my family and my aunts and uncles and cousins, and Bree was there almost every day with my mom, and so I got to spend a lot of time with her in her final days and hours. So I'm grateful for that time. Yeah, it was definitely hard to see her fade like that, but one of the other things I was grateful for is I took a lot of that out in the gym. So I've been in the gym a lot lately.
Nice, man.
So
it's a good place to get rid of aggression in a positive way.
Oh yeah, so definitely. And with going to the gym, like now I think I got the gym bug or something, because I haven't gone today yet. I went on a 6-mile walk with Michelle this morning, and I'm like, man, I'm not that sore. I want to go lift.
Yeah.
So
nice.
Yep, you get that. I'm the same way. I don't like going on vacation because I miss it. So
yeah.
it's once you get it ingrained in you, and it becomes a habit. And it takes 21 days to create a habit, and after that, it's something that, as long as it's not a painful experience, that you want to go do.
Well,
so
there's a cool app that I have too that Jess, who used to work there, it's called Train Heroic.
Really?
And I can track my progress of what I've been doing on the different exercises.
Oh, sweet.
So, and it's competitive, and I'm very competitive. And it says you've passed this many people if you do this many reps at this weight, you'll pass 113 people or 19 or whatever.
Okay. Really? I'm going to check that out.
It's pretty
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, I like
you have to
that.
pay for it. I can't remember how much it was, but
what's it called again?
Definitely worth it. Train Heroic.
Okay.
Shout out Train Heroic. We'll check that out, because that's the love-hate relationship that I have with my watch. Is I can't stand the way it looks. I mean, it's just terrible. I have a watch collection, but the functionality and the fact that I want those rings closed, I mean, that is damn near an addiction for me.
You just closed them. I got a notification on my watch.
Yeah, but it's I just like that. It drives me to make sure that I get that done, and I raise my, what the rings need for closing and stuff like that. So for me, you know what I'm going to say? For me, I always enjoy the Olympics. I think the Olympics, and not many people are talking about it. I think NBC's coverage of them is an abomination to television, but seeing what those people can do and the stories and whatnot is a blessing for all of us, because you see what determination, and not just from the U.S. You got this guy from Mexico, this figure skater, and I'm not much of a figure skater guy, or watching it, I don't know anything they're doing, but this kid is like 18 or 20 or something like that, and he practices in a mall in Guadalajara, I believe. So he's out there, Olympic level skater with, like at Lloyd Center. He's got kids. He said the number one question he gets asked is, where is the bathroom? So I mean,
Date es del baño.
Yeah, exactly. But it's those types of things, those stories. There was another kid from, I don't know, somewhere in Europe or something like that that's going to be a police officer.
Yeah.
So we have the highest and the best, but if you're from Latvia or something like that, there's a really good chance that you don't have all the fancy equipment and facilities and the money that goes along with the sponsors and whatnot. So it's I think those stories are kind of cool. And then I was watching, so I believe it was the 1982 Winter Olympics, the ski jumping where they jump like 4 miles or whatever, but it was really windy, so these guys were crashing left and right. And I'm sorry, it's not funny, but 40 years later, that shit was hilarious, because these guys go off the jump and all of a sudden their shit just goes sideways, and they kept going. I'm like, after the first 3 motherfuckers crashed, it would be like somebody like hold up a flag, like, let's hold on. And one dude crashed, or he got his first jump off, went like his skis went sideways in the air. He saved the first one. Mm-hmm. His second jump, full tilt yard sail. And the other thing was, they just treat him like a sack of potatoes, throwing him on the stretcher. Dude's neck is just flying all over the place. Just get on there, and they go trotting off.
Yeah.
I'm like, now everyone would have the neck braces and make sure everyone's... No, they just throw these guys on the stretcher and go running off like it was on... What was that game? It was at an old school Nintendo game where they just kind of yarded you onto a stretcher and trotted off. Anyway, I was watching that. Yeah, I don't remember what the game was, but that was pretty funny. But I always appreciate the Olympics.
Was that Tecmo Bowl?
It might have been. I don't remember.
Or like double dribble or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. They just heft you onto the thing. But anyone that has the willingness to jump off of a perfectly good jump and go 400 feet or in the air or whatever, I mean, that shit is insane.
Right.
So I have an appreciation for all the athletes and the time and the effort that they put into that, because that is, I mean, it's pretty darn awesome.
Maybe one day we'll have somebody that was in the Olympics on the show.
Yeah, like a female wrestler that someone knows. Not saying any names, Gary.
Shout out, Gary. Yeah, Gary. And any other Olympians that may be listening that would be interested, we'd love to hear from you, because that is, I mean, that's the pinnacle of sport. And even if you're in the NBA, I mean, you still play in the Olympics. So if you're that good.
Yeah, Gary, do you know any basketball players? Come on.
Russell Westbrook, actually.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you know him, huh? Okay. Personally? Or are you that stalker that we were talking about earlier?
Right.
Exactly.
You guys like the Olympics?
Yes and no.
Summer or winter?
I like them for different reasons, but
okay,
winter,
Mike, let's keep it PG here.
I like winter.
Yeah.
I think I like winter better.
Winter's more my favorite. Gary?
Probably summer, honestly, because I'm not big into like snowboarding and skiing, so I don't like being cold. I know I live in Oregon, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you anything about what's going on now, but
you should try curling. We should all have a curling team.
I actually figured curling out this week. I believe I started watching it, and well, it's because it just started, and it's actually oddly interesting to see the way they play the game and why they do what they do and how it works. But
you can be our thrower since you have one hand.
Yeah,
we'll be the sweepers.
So I think we'd make a better bobsled team, I think.
Oh, I don't know about that. We
No?
don't. I think we have a little too much weight. We just go flying off the fucking course. Be like, and Team ManVsMood ends up in the third row of the stands,
And they're all being taken off in stretchers.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
So would we be called the not cool running?
Yeah, basically.
the stool running, because we're pretty shitty.
Exactly.
No, and the losers, those motherfuckers doing 82 miles an hour,
that's
just
crazy.
railing, just.
Man, when they crash though, so
But let's
dramatic.
be honest,
watching.
that's why you kind of watch
That's why
it.
I watch
because,
it. I don't care about.
Well, I don't want
snowboarding
anyone
and
to
skiing
get
either.
Yeah.
I just want to see someone biff it.
I appreciate all of it, but when you do get a good yard sale, as long as they are all right and they don't, die or something on the hill.
Yeah.
I don't wish any permanent injuries on somebody.
Yeah.
But if we can get a good ACL tear, that's no. Sorry, that's morbid.
See, you don't have that in swimming. It's like, pull the hamstring.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
But
cramp
they-
up and they start
yeah.
bobbing around.
They might sink to the bottom, but at least when they're snowboarding and skiing, it's yard sale time.
Oh man, and that shit goes flying. There was a.
Man, I remember the worst one was it Peekaboo Street?
I remember the name.
When she was flying down a hill doing slalom, and her ski caught and it shot her across into the net, and she ended up like breaking both legs. And
oh yeah, well that Michaela Schifrin,
that was bad.
Our stud downhill slalom and everything, she fell twice, and I mean she was devastated. Talk about they pull them in for an interview, literally like, here are your dreams that you worked for 4 years for just flash before your eyes. Come tell us what you're feeling in this moment. I don't know how, and of course they got the mask on. Excuse me.
Yeah, right.
And she's on the verge of tears. And I mean she handled it very, very well, but still to put somebody in that position when 4 years, it's not like you got another game in 2 days. No, this shit will be another 4 years before you get another shot.
That'd be so
they
much.
make it because there's more up and comers that might have to challenge them.
That'd just be like so much pressure just to endure, like day in and day out. Like just knowing that you're going after your like
The mental
lifetime goal.
the mental drain and the strength you have to have, like for your friend. I can't wait to talk to her about that. How grueling was it to face that every day and practice and practice and practice, and then you get to the nationals, and if you make it or you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing that I have really reflected on is the impact COVID is having, and not in the sickness, but you work all that time and then you pop. That happened to one of our figure skaters yesterday. 4 years of work. He tested positive. Don't get to compete.
Oh, that sucks.
Can you imagine that? I don't know if his Olympics are done, but I know that one of the other countries, their figure skater was part of a team, and he tested positive. He missed the team event. Luckily, was able to skate for the individual. But that's such a random thing. Like, oh shit, yeah, I got a cold, and now all of this work that I worked 10 hours a day for 4 years for, and I got the sniffles. So, and I'm like, if you're asymptomatic and you're by yourself out on the ice, why not just let him go?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Well, okay. I don't even want to get started on this, but
this is the last
if
thing
you're
we'll say
within
before we jump into it.
If you're not close to anybody and you're ice skating alone on the ice,
That's
not
what
in
I
the,
mean.
not in the tandem or whatever, not like Blaze of Glory, but
Ooh.
like
Talking about that.
We should do that, actually.
no. Why can't they still do it and then put a mask on afterwards? Put a freaking bubble suit on afterwards. Just let them compete.
Yeah, that's exact. And most of them, I think, are asymptomatic anyway. And if they did get anything, it's probably a pretty minor sickness.
Yeah.
And those guys have been through so much hell anyway. They could probably push through it because of the, how good a shape they're in.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what I was saying.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you're a loser. We don't want anyone. Well, and have you heard about the conditions that they're putting and they're like lepers, of course, in China. The food was terrible. There weren't beds or something or blanks. I mean, there was a litany of items that they were complaining about because they just shoved them like over in this piece of shit building away from everyone. Because they're walking around in full moon suits, spraying people down, and it's pretty crazy over there. So.
Damn, man.
Anyway, well, today the topic du jour is mental health for men and social media, although we could go off on the Olympic thing, but I would like to save that for our potential guest down the road. But the impact that social media has on us, we've actually we've touched on it a number of times in a number of episodes, but it hasn't been our topic of the day. It's something that I think all of us agree has a definitive impact on our mental health. And it can be on a day-to-day basis, depending on the diet that we've put ourselves on for social media. And I think that diet is an appropriate word because if you overindulge in it, it will have probably a negative impact on your overall mental health for that day and possibly longer. But it's not getting better. It's only going to get worse. And as we further see the kind of battle lines of social media drawn up, which is to say corporations and things like that, I think that there is a need for some kind of legislation to maybe break things up or at least make it so that these companies don't have so much data about us. That's my biggest gripe about social media is the data that's collected against us. But let's stay on topic with the mental health side of it. Maybe we'll each talk about what our individual thoughts are, and then as a collective. Mike, you want to start us off?
Yeah,
what you think, or what your relationship with social media is?
It's a love-hate relationship, honestly. Originally how it started was to stay in touch with old high school friends or people we knew, family members, things like that. But then, now you throw coworkers on and other people, and then follow this star. Oh, that person looks interesting. Let's see what they're doing. Yep. It's almost like a voyeuristic type of setup with 100%. Let's look into their life. I don't have to get to know you because I can just look at your pictures and say, oh, they have a great life. Yeah. And that's part of a problem because I think I mentioned on a previous show is I saw that this our company puts out congratulations on your home sold, and then there'll be like 3 homes or 1 home or whatever, however many sold they just sold in the last week or 2 weeks. And it was like this one person had like probably 2 or 3 a week that were getting sold. I'm just like, Jesus. And so I'm comparing. I'm like, it makes me mad, and it starts affecting my mental health. Going, I'm not good like that. I'm not that what she does.
Yeah.
And so I had ended up having to unfollow her, not because she did anything wrong, but because I couldn't handle it.
Yeah, it's not good for you for the space that you want to be in.
Yeah.
Because we should be competing with ourselves. That's our goal each day, is not to compare ourselves to others. What about you and your diet on social media? What is it do you have concerns about it, or did you in the past?
In the past, I would say yes. I could, on my iPhone, it would tell me how much I've spent on social media. Mm-hmm. And there was times when it was like 6 hours a day. Dang. 6 to 8 hours a day. And of course, my business is reconnecting with past clients and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But once you go down a rabbit hole, it's very hard to get out of it, and TikTok is horrible for that, because late at night, laying in bed, I'm going, I'm not that tired. I'll watch a couple things. And you just kind of, your eyes get that glaze over as you just keep swiping and swiping. And then it's kind of funny. They put in there, okay, you've been on this for quite a while. Let's take a break. And like, oh shit. Yep. There goes 3 hours.
Right.
Ooh,
will
suck you in.
I've kind of tried to really step away from social media in a lot of aspects. For my business, I still have to have it, but, I try not to go on it that often.
It's better for your productivity for sure. In your space, because you work for yourself. Gary, what about you?
Social media is a funny thing, I think, honestly. Like, I think it's one of those things, like, it's like that saying that pigs get fed, but hogs get slaughtered, right? Mm-hmm. And I just think that if you indulge in it too much, like, you're going to end up getting fucked up.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's just one of those things to where you're just seeing so much fake like stuff every single day. I mean, whether it's people or whether it's celebrities and stuff like that. And like, it's interesting to me just because all you're seeing is like highlights of people's lives. Like,
you don't see the lowlights too often.
No. And like the thing about it is, before, like, I would post about, like, if somebody needs to see a therapist, I've got a list of therapists, that I can send you to. And that just like resulted in people being like, are you okay? Like, are you down? Are you sad? And I'm like, I'm trying to help other people. Like just because I'm not posting about, traveling or going to the gym or doing whatever, like, doesn't mean I'm doing that. I just think that, like, it's easy just to fall like in that trap of like, oh, well, this person, was in fucking Peru or Brazil or whatever else, when like really, those people aren't living that type of lifestyle or they're not portraying like their real life. And it's just sad. Like, it's a hard thing to fall to get away from. And for myself, like, I cycle like in and out of it. Like, I'll go using it, and then I'll turn off my Instagram, I'll turn off my Facebook for a month or a couple months or whatever, because you just have to get it. Personally, I just have to get away from that.
Absolutely. And each one of the platforms is a different vice, in my view. Facebook is friends and family. You're much more likely to know people, like legitimately know them on there. But a lot of times those connections, I actually saw something the other day that I thought was a great point, that Facebook is your past. It's your high school connections, college, family, that kind of thing. And a lot of times that may lead to negative thoughts because maybe some bad shit happened back then, or they weren't your friends to begin with. When you signed up for Facebook in 2010, it just popped up. Oh, this is kind of fun, and so now you've been seeing them in their communist manifestos for the last 12 years, and you're like, why am I?
It changes your way of thinking.
Yeah, right. And now you've got a hammer and sickle above your door when you come. And that I mean, obviously we're joking, but that is a very, very realistic thing that we're dealing with on Facebook, is how it has been weaponized and used against us for corporate profits. And you see just what happened with them in this last week when they reported their earnings, that once Apple changed their privacy settings, how many people disengaged from app tracking and how it hit their bottom line. And they lost like $280 billion in a week or something.
I ain't sad about that.
No, not at all. But it just goes to show you that if the product is free, then you are the product. That's something that you always have to remember, that if whatever you get is free online, you're the one that's being mined for value.
Yeah.
And it's your data and if you get an opportunity to ever really dig into the amount of data that Facebook has on you, it will scare the ever living shit out of you. But so I think Facebook is that link to the past that a lot of us, I mean, I don't engage with Facebook. I can't stand it. It just is such a turnoff to go on there because, yeah, you have the fake aspect of it for sure, but it's the writing that they and the pictures and the toxicity and the hate and and not just like hate, but like just throwing shade at people for no reason, and maybe people you don't know and whatnot, but.
Oh, it's been such a divisive. I think originally it started out as a great thing to have people across the country or across the world reconnect, and then it turned into how can we divide to make money?
Because enragement equals engagement. And we've talked about that.
And eyeballs are going to stick longer if they're, oh yeah, I agree with this. I'm going to agree with this. I agree with this. You know.
And you create your own echo chamber. That's one of the biggest things that I have seen is you can create your own world. I mean, I know that they just changed their name to Meta because they want to be the leaders in the metaverse. And actually, I think that may be the undoing of Facebook. But this choreographed line of bullshit that people spew to the world when it's your family and friends. I mean, your great aunt lives across the country and it looks like she's doing phenomenal. And in reality, you know, she's snorting cocaine and, you know, turning tricks behind the building or something. I don't know.
Wow.
I know that kind of went a little dark there, but the impact that it has on us, and we'll start with Facebook and our mentality. Going back, how long have you been on Facebook, do you think, Gary?
Probably since like 2010.
Okay, so you've got 12 years. The
2009.
memory, 2009 for you. I think I was 8 or 9, somewhere around there. I don't remember. No, I know I was on there in 2009. So maybe it was 2008. But how do you react to it differently now as a man, especially, compared to, let's say, 2015? What do you think the biggest difference for you on there is?
For me, like, it's funny just to see like old things like that I used to post or talk about. Like, so I think the last memory I had was I can't stand Myers Leonard or something like that, and I still feel like that. And but I just think that just for me, like, Facebook is one of those universes where I have a lot of people like with different like personalities and different perspectives on life and, you know, different ways of living and stuff. And I think that it just kind of gels and it combined. So whether I comment on something or whether somebody posts something like on my page, it's going to get a multitude of just good reactions and bad reactions. And sometimes it can be good and sometimes it can be bad. But, you know, I just think.
But you said that you have disengaged with it quite a bit in the last 2 years, 5 years. How long do you think that you have actively chosen to disengage with the product?
Like I probably started doing it, just off and on for probably the last 3 years. And I think for me, like, it just works well because I just need time just to like get away and just work on me and, you know, just get away from all this fakeness and the facade that everybody's living this great life and has tons of money and tons of friends and tons of houses and all this. And
you're not from Washougal. That ain't the shit that most people from Washougal.
Yeah.
No, they worry about their water bills because they're so outrageous because the city of Washougal sucks.
Speak on it, Mike.
But yeah, I mean, you know, whether it's people talking about politics or sports or just anything, I just think that it's tough just to post things on there because, you know, people really don't want to talk about tough things. Like, they want to talk about the good and the happy stuff and just act like things are great.
I don't fully agree with that.
Yeah.
I would say a lot of the people want to fucking argue about
Yeah.
COVID or politics or right wing, left wing. Like, that's why I turned it off. I'm just like, I'm sick of the bullshit. Like, the people on the left, the far right. And that's what Facebook has done is divided everybody.
Exactly.
And I turned it off. I deleted my Facebook. I only started it back up not long ago for Michelle, and just to just stay in touch and stuff. But like for me, it was just I got sick of it. It was all that constant negativity just bombarding you in your face.
Did you guys feel differently?
Oh, it made me angry.
Okay, so that's what I want to get to. What is the emotion that you feel when you hear the name Facebook, Gary?
I mean, when I hear it, like, I just think of like
fake book.
I don't know, like when I think of it, like I think about like a jar with like a bunch of bees in it, and you're just shaking it up, and then you're throwing it out, because I just think that it's I hate social media. I'm not gonna lie.
No, it really is this love-hate thing.
Yeah.
What about you, Mike?
Oh, I can't stand it. If I didn't have to have it for certain things, I wouldn't. I'm past it. I'm over it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, I would think we really don't appreciate how it is declining, even though we see that it's got record ad revenue and things like that. First of all, they're not trustworthy. The numbers that they put out, I mean, having been on the backside of it doing this stuff, I know that what they tell producers and content creators and whatnot is bullshit.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
But along the lines of what you're talking about, Mike, that's the number one thing that I felt from it was I saw the divisiveness that was being created, and to step back and watch families and friends get torn apart because of a politician or COVID or whatever it is, rather than having nuanced actual discussions that have multiple levels to them, it devolved to you're an idiot, you're a fucking moron, da-da-da-da-da, and nothing's getting solved with that. And so it just brings more anger.
And it's gone further downhill where like someone's getting shot because of their belief of, I want to get vaccinated. Well, you're an idiot for getting vaccinated because they're putting poison in your body. Yeah. Well, motherfucker, do you go to McDonald's? Do you drink Coca-Cola? Do you breathe the air that we all fucking breathe? Well, then you put in that shit in your body too.
Yeah.
That's the craziest part of it. So I went through and I just started unfriending people.
Yeah.
I did that today. I unfriended 2 people.
Yeah. I think I did like 75 or something because I was like, I haven't seen you in 25 years, so why the fuck do I care?
But no, like maybe for you guys it's different, but I think for me, like one of the first times that I can really remember just understanding the like divisiveness of social media was MySpace.
I remember that.
So I think for me, it was just about like who's in your top 3, like who's in your top 5, like who's in your top 10. Because if you move somebody out, it was like hell was breaking loose. Like
really?
Why am I not in your top 3 anymore?
Exactly. Like I'm not in your top 5. Like what happened? And I'm like,
remind me. I don't remember what that was all about.
Yeah,
it's a popularity contest.
Yeah.
You ranked your friends or something?
Yeah, you'd put them like in your top 3. So they'd be like in the top of your page. So it'd be like 3 people. It'd be
If your significant other was in there, you're hell to pay.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. In fact, I logged into my MySpace account like last year or something. But
You still have one?
Oh yeah, everyone does.
I didn't know they're around.
Yeah,
Justin Timberlake owns it, right?
I don't know who.
What?
Yeah, he
Really?
does. Yeah, he does.
Yeah, I think he bought it for like $1,400 or something.
And
it's
now
not
it's worth
anything.
And now it's
And a
worth a
stick of
half-eaten
gum.
corn dog.
Yeah. Oh man, But Tom's still out there. In fact, Tom is now retro because he's showing up on everyone's like as a profile or something like that.
Yeah.
So we've seen this kind of matriculation from Facebook to where the olds hang out. Basically, it's the 50 and over club. To a degree, I mean, it's the aunts and the uncles and a lot of picture swapping, and then you have your militants that are going to solve COVID by screaming at their screen. The thing now that is obviously going to be the Facebook killer is TikTok, and the 3 of us, I've now jumped on, and the thing that I'm seeing there now, there's a lot of fun stuff and whatnot, but there's also you have factions. And you have the guys and the alpha guys and the red pill guys. And then you got the feminists and you've got the gardeners and things like that. And what I'm starting to see with the advent of this Stitch, where you can basically comment on somebody else's video if they allow you, is to have a rebuttal. And I guess the biggest thing that I do appreciate about TikTok is that you have to show your face. If you're going to post to TikTok, it's likely going to be you. So if you're going to spew your bullshit, you're going to have some accountability to that. But I also have seen that I'm never surprised, or I am always surprised actually, by the shit people are willing to put on the internet. And the things that they will put on TikTok is absolutely insane. In fact, I made a TikTok about that today because I just, there is a world of people out there, and not just in what I was talking about, which was the upside down pineapple world, which is evidently swingers. No idea. I had no idea that that's what that shit was. And all of a sudden TikTok just flooded my FYP with that. I'm like, where the fuck is this shit? There's a bunch of people just like, yeah.
Someone heard you liked pineapple. I don't know.
No, it's like they're banging their neighbors and all the. I'm like, what the fuck, man? And the algorithm just, it likes to throw a curveball at you. But when we think about these things.
But when you like it and when you watch it for a certain amount of time, they're going to send more and more. Yeah. So if you're like, oh, nope, swing past it, swing, get it?
Yeah, right.
Swing past it, then, it moves on.
But absolutely. But you have, I mean, it takes you a second to figure out what it is. You don't know. I mean, you have a second to, I guess, see, oh, is this something that and then you're like, oh, okay, get off here and all that. But what I'm starting to see is, and especially between the red pill community, and for those that aren't familiar, that's your men's movement that is being accused of being misogynistic and things like that, putting women in their place according to them. And then you have the other side of that, which
like
is
that podcast TikTok that we were sharing around just our group.
Well, there's a number of them, and I don't think they're doing men's mental health any good by being the way they're approaching these discussions is a lot of times sarcastically, with condescension, just a truckload of condescension. And so that is not going to foster an environment worthy of having tough discussions, in my opinion. When you look at that, Gary, what is your relationship with TikTok like? Is it better than Facebook or Instagram or?
No, definitely not. So I'd say for me, I probably frequent Instagram more and then Facebook and then TikTok. So I just think that I'm still getting used to it. Like, I don't know anything about it, honestly.
Well, there's not a lot of, the thing that I have found about it is there's not a lot of choice.
Yeah.
You don't really get to choose what you look at. The algorithm chooses that for you.
So exactly, because it's less of your friends and, family and stuff like that. It's more of like an outreach or, celebrities or random people, biting heads off bats or, whatever they're doing. Who knows?
Yeah, and there's an endless stream of content that is being pushed there.
Yeah.
I think that if you're a content creator, it's a very good platform.
Yeah.
If you're even reasonably interesting.
Well, we are, and we're trying to create some content, and we've had some pretty good falling from it.
Yeah, and it's it just takes that time to figure it out. But again, it's not getting sucked into the bad stuff and kind of finding where your niche is, what you even enjoy watching without having to be put through the ringer of all that other BS. Because I know for me, it knows that I'm a male, and so it will really, don't shake your hand at me, motherfucker. But it tries to show me that stuff that's putting women down or putting men down. Yeah. And my issue with it is that I don't necessarily want to see a lot of that content, but I do want to see some of it because I want the opportunity to understand what somebody I disagree with is saying. Yeah. I don't want to be living in that echo chamber. But what I have found is that it will show you the same type of thing. Like it will say, today is Tuesday, and we're going to show you a bunch of women hate talk. And it will be a lot of that. And then Wednesday will be basketball. or something like that. But I would like to have more of a handle on how I can actually kind of narrate my experience with TikTok rather than the algorithm, but I know that that's not what it's built upon.
Yeah.
Instagram, we see a lot of issues with Instagram with youth. It's causing a lot of issues with young women and especially young girls in that 13 to 16 year range, where it's causing them to have body dysmorphia and really kind of hate themselves. And when we have applications that are causing people to contemplate suicide, I have to ask myself, why aren't these being regulated? Because guns are regulated because people can kill themselves and others with them. Well, words have an impact, and regardless of what we say about sticks and stones, everyone has to be mindful of it, though. And I think that's one thing that all of us at the beginning weren't quite understanding, is that this shit sucks us in.
Right, yeah.
I mean, you said it just a minute ago, Mike.
Yep.
3 hours will disappear, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing that I mean, you have been kind of a cautionary tale for me that I don't want to get sucked into that.
Well, and I do a lot of it just because I'm looking to find stuff for us to do, you know, to be more interesting, because, you know, we're two white guys and a black guy, but and, you know, a younger white woman.
Yeah. Younger? No.
Wow.
Jen's not here, so I can say that.
She can't defend herself.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you know, I do get lost down a rabbit trail sometimes, and there's times where I have to set limits. I even put a limit on my phone that says, okay, you've been on it for an hour today, you're done.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. But the thing about that is it says, do you want to continue? There's like a little bypass.
It gives you an out.
Yeah. Do you want to keep going for another 15 minutes? And I think that bypass should be gone and just be like, nope, you're done.
Yeah, shut it down. And if you want to do it, 30 minutes every 6 hours or something, you could set it up that way. But
yeah. It was very interesting. Have you guys ever heard of Social Dilemma?
Oh,
Have
yeah.
you watched it?
That.
mm-hmm, I've watched
That
it
show is what turned me off to Facebook.
Yeah.
Going, my God, what? And we were like the lamb led to slaughter, because of everything we allowed them to do.
Yeah.
And we allowed them into our personal stuff, into our life, and to know everything about us, so they could sell it off for profit.
Yeah. But also too, like, in the end, like when it's talking to the CEOs or whatever, they're like, do you let your kids have it?
And they're like, fuck no.
No, fuck no, right? And it's like, so with that, I mean, this is a little different, but also like there's that show on Netflix, the Tinder swindler. Or
I
just watched that.
I haven't watched it yet.
Dude, and like,
Dude, that guy.
What? Okay, so give us just a quick synopsis.
Wow.
it's like,
It's messed up.
it's so messed up. Like, it's so sad because it's like, here's this guy, he's like in
International criminal.
Exactly. And basically he's having younger women like fall in love with him and his lifestyle, so he's essentially doing what people do on social media. He's portraying that he's, this multimillionaire. He's flying everywhere in private jets. He's having these.
He's a diamond dealer.
Yeah, that was his last thing. But the first one was he was an arms dealer.
Yeah.
Then he said, like some other
Secret
random
agent.
stuff. And like he'll go out with women, and for the first couple of weeks it's great, and he's meeting them in like exotic cars and beautiful hotels.
He builds that
and
trust,
stuff.
just spoils them on somebody else's credit card.
Really?
Or
The woman before.
Exactly. And he got like up to like he's got
$10 million more.
$10 million more, and
from multiple people across the world.
The fucked up thing about it too was I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but just there's a scene
I'll ruin it.
like in the
Don't
beginning
ruin it, Mike.
where he goes on a date with this woman, and then he's like, I've got a business deal, in such and such country, just come with me. So this first date leads to this woman going on a private jet with him, his business partner, his baby
Who is
mother,
in on the whole scam?
Yeah, his baby mother, and then Peter,
the
bodyguard.
Russian bodyguard.
So basically, like,
Built like a shit brick house.
right,
Petter?
right. So like they they fly someplace and they get someplace and they all go like in separate cars. So he goes in a car. The girl that he brought there goes with the mother, right? And then the mom's like in on it too, and she's saying he's such a great guy, he's so beautiful, like he treats us so well and this and that. And then you find out this fucking woman had a lawsuit against him, like in Switzerland or something like that.
And then the daughter is his daughter.
Yeah, the daughter's actually his daughter, but like
So
here,
it's like his ex.
like here's this
No shit.
here's this woman that like went down the rabbit hole, was like, you know, looking for like real love, and then she thought she found it, but really she's in debt, you know, I'm sure. And then here she is taking advantage of other women. And the woman that went on this flight like went into like $150,000 in debt.
More than that. It was $250,000.
No shit.
In debt, giving this guy money and credit cards and access and taking out loans for him.
Oh.
And then she posted on one of them goes like, I'm going to be the one that has to catch him because he's going to just keep doing this. And the comments from the keyboard fucking cowboys going, well, you're stupid. You're the one that kept giving him money. You're the one, blah, blah, blah. But he's the guy that built all this trust and all this
victim
to make
shaming.
him.
Everyone loves the victim shame.
So
because it's not them.
Yeah, right. So he's photoshopping pictures of like him, you know, on the King of Diamonds, and he's placing himself, you know, in these images and makes him look like, you know, he's the man. But, you know, really he served 3 years in prison, got out, and he went to prison. So after all this, he was sentenced to 15 months, did 5 months.
And
now
he's back out doing it again.
And now he's back out and like started a business with his Russian model girlfriend or whatever. And
This dude must be pretty good looking.
No.
And
Then he's got just like 12 on the hang or something.
He's an Israeli guy.
yeah.
He's a what?
Israeli guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's his parents live in this apartment complex building, so
Yeah.
they're not rich by any means.
In Israel?
Yeah.
Really?
And he's basically just a smooth talking cheat, liar, everything you can think of. And he's back out it. And so they who was it? Tinder and Hinge and all these other things said he is blocked. He can't be on any of our things anymore.
Really?
But it's crazy too, because like he was sentenced to 15 months, did 5 months, and now he's back out and started a business doing
modeling or something.
No,
modeling agency.
helping people with their business and stuff like that. And like
He's a consultant.
something like that.
You want your credit card basically.
Yeah.
But like it's just so crazy because it's just so sad, man. Like it's so sad just to see this. And I think for me, like that's part of the reason why I like wanted to do this podcast is because of fucking people like that. Because there's so much just fraudulence and fake shit like going on. Like it's so sad to see this, and like it makes me want to like help more, because I know people that like do that, not to that extent, but I know people
So they
that
catfish people.
Yeah, like I know
Scammers.
people. Yeah, that
IG
just
scammers.
Yeah, they just scam people, and it's so sad to see that shit, you know, because there's some people that are really looking for like notebook love. You know?
And they get sold on it.
Well,
Yeah, and they
a lot of the women are.
Yeah,
It's insane the power that money and it's a combination. I mean, it's kind of a cocktail.
Yeah.
And I love to watch American Greed, and
man.
it's one of my favorite shows because the psychology for both sides, both the perpetrator and the victim, is so intriguing to me to see what leads people down those paths. What it is, whether it's their past that they're running from or this insatiable need to be accepted by family, friends, whatever it might be, and the lengths to which people will go to hurt others for their own good.
Yeah.
And I mean, having some experience with that myself, but when you see, I mean, even like Bernie Madoff, I mean, he fucking cost thousands of people their livelihood. I mean, their pensions and things like that.
Not to mention the people that took their lives because of it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a bunch of that, but it's a dynamic that is not going to change anytime soon.
Yeah.
And
nope. Where there's money, there's always going to be greed.
Exactly. And one of the last things I wanted to touch on here is with social media, and the reason that I chose this topic is, we focus on men's mental health, and we bring 3 independent male voices and 1 independent female voice. But a trend that I've started to see on social media lately is this division between men thinking that engaging in your mental health somehow means that you're a pansy, a pussy, a fucking nobody. If you are engaged in an honest, open discussion about mental health. And basically that you're not masculine. It's not, you can't be masculine and have any type of connection with your mental health.
Yeah, I've seen that too, where basically you're more feminine because you are bringing up your feelings.
Exactly. And that's something that I wanted to really talk about with you guys, especially knowing that it was going to be the 3 of us, although I would love to hear Jen's take on this, because I think she would bring, obviously, as she always does, a unique perspective. But this thought that, guys, if we understand that we have feelings and emotions and past issues that cause us to feel this way, I think it's an absolute misnomer. And I know that the 2 of you are on the same page with me on that. But I wanted to know if you have seen that. I've seen more of it lately. I understand that it's always been out there, but I see guys speaking specifically about it on a multitude of platforms, especially TikTok. But they think that, you talk about your mental health, so you are automatically weak.
Yeah.
And we all called on bullshit on that. But when you interact with people like that, because Gary, you have talked about that to some degree, what does that feel like for you? Because I know that we're masculine men, and
I think, honestly, sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Gary, I don't mean to overstep.
No,
Jeez, Mike.
I think you're actually weak if you don't talk about it.
That's what I thought too.
If you can't talk about it, why? You're hiding shit. You're not being true to yourself, for one.
Yeah. Well, I just don't know why that equates. Why mental health, being proactive with your mental health, and I think part of it is that there is a large group of guys out there that are using it as an excuse for attention, for sympathy, or for something like the Tinder swindler guy.
Or manipulation.
Manipulation, exactly. So with everything that is in our life, there are bad eggs that are going to do things that give others kind of a bad name as well. I mean, if we're engaging our mental health, then people seem to have this thought that, oh, well, then you're just one of those guys that can't handle being told the truth or being cussed at or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that that's one thing that I really want to dispel, is that just because I talk about my mental health does not mean that I'm not mentally strong. Yeah. Actually, I think it makes us a lot more mentally strong.
I would agree with that.
And that when you have these guys that are saying that, no, I mean, I saw some motherfucker on TikTok, he was drawing on a whiteboard and shit, and how, it's always the alpha thing. Fuck, and now I'm hearing Sigma. Sigma male, because the beta male is obviously they think that's the lowest of the low. But as I always have thought, alphas don't have to talk about it. Mm-hmm. That's not what the job of an alpha is.
What's funny is I think it should be reversed. Alphas should be the ones that are talking about it.
I know, but it's not in their nature.
The rest of them, no.
It's not in their nature because they're leaders by actual action. They don't have to tell people they're leaders.
Yeah. Like for me, like the whole just journey just with like mental health and stuff like that has really just really started. Cause I think that, like I've seen people that just looked like me, like going, cause my perspective, like as I was young was always like just skewed. And it was always about things that I thought were cool, like, like going to bars and going to clubs and meeting up with women and, doing things that like really weren't benefiting me. You know, like it might have benefited me for, you know, for the short term. You know, like I might have been able to displace my feelings or self or whatever, you know, for a couple days or whatever. But like when you really break it down, and then you see people that, you know, you want to be like, or you see people that, you know, look like you or whatever, like you see what they're doing, like it makes me want to do that. And I mean, for me, like, you know, like I've seen people like Kevin Gates and Charlemagne, you know, and I see that and I'm like, I typically don't see guys like this talking about being not even soft, but just talking about things that like they're not necessarily comfortable with, things that happen to them as children or coming up, you know, things that, you know, they're just working on and stuff like that. And I think just like you guys said, like it's the toughest thing to cry. I mean, it's the toughest thing to look yourself in the mirror and be like, man, like I got to work on me. Like I can't fucking blame like other people, you know, for my issues. And I think that's probably the main thing I think that I've learned, you know, from you guys. You know,
the masses are not at that point because they want to blame everybody else for their problems. Like it's your fault that I have to get vaccinated because you're the one that gets sick.
Yeah.
You know, or vice versa. It's so fucking stupid. Yeah. I want to smack people upside the head. It honestly pisses me off and angers me. It's like white hot red anger. Yeah. Where, you know, if someone does cuss me out, you're probably going to get it right back.
Oh yeah.
And it's not going to because I'm weak.
No, and now I think what we're seeing is these guys are using it for clout. Yeah. Because there's a whole bunch of other guys that love to simp on the alpha guy who's in there talking about, you know, we do this and we do that and we don't, you know, we eat raw eggs and we push fucking truck tires up the hill and throw stones.
And we shit out raw nails.
Yeah, right. and it's like that is not what, and I know that probably 50 years ago people would have thought that was masculinity, but I would argue that men were far more masculine back then because they had family values, they had good jobs. You know, a lot of times they turned to alcohol to solve their problems. Not a big fan of that, but the idea that having an honest discussion about your mental health makes you soft, I think that actually comes from the soft mind. You have given us far more feedback about that, though, Gary. What do you think about the people that tell you that? Do you think that they have a soft mind, or is that just jealousy? I think jealousy could come into it.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like, I definitely think jealousy, but I just think it's I don't know. Like, it's very sad. Like, I just watched a video of this dude. He actually killed himself and his baby mother too. And before he did that, he said, "Look, I was trying to tell you guys, you know, that I wasn't mentally healthy. Like I was trying to tell you guys, you know, that I need help and I need assistance and stuff like that, you know." And then he just went on just to say that, you know, help him, you know, with his child and, you know, please forgive him and stuff like that. And then he went off and did it. And it's, I don't know, it's sad because I mean, I've had friends, you know, that have done similar things, and
really,
you know, I just always have a soft spot for, you know, people talking about these things because I want to help, you know, like I want to give back, and I know it's not easy to talk about these things, but also too, like when you have people that are trying to talk to you about these things, or when you're trying to talk about these things, like you need to take it serious. And for me, you know, like when I've talked about, you know, getting people therapy lists, you know, oh, that's pussy. Like, right? oh, you're soft. And I'm like, no, it's not really soft, because honestly, like doing what I do, you know, for my job, or just daily dealings just with people and stuff like that, like I wouldn't be able to, you know, deal with people, you know, as easily. So some days are good and some days are bad.
Well, you can either have a DMV day or you can have a happy day.
Yeah. But I just think that
by engaging your mental health, you're going to have less DMV days.
Exactly. I just think that just from my own perspective, and just, you know, like how I grew up and where my family is and where people are that I used to talk to and communicate with, they're sometimes some of them are still in a rut. And, you know, it's just because they don't see the mental block of like, damn, like I need to get help. Like it's more of like, I can't get help because I can't look weak. Yeah. And like, just like you said, and just like you said too, like I want to reverse the narrative of that and be like, it's cool to go to therapy. Like it's cool to like talk talk to your friends about how you're truly feeling, and like open up to them and tell them you love them, and you know, give them hugs. I mean, maybe not, you know, like a chest to back hug, but a chest to chest hug, you know. And
Not a grinder hug.
not a grinder hug.
Totally came out of left field. I was like, wait a minute, he just said that out loud.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, and I hear what you're saying, but it's not going to become socially normal until you unfortunately have these big stars and sports figures and people that the world looks up to talk about it. Because look what happened to Andrew Luck when he retired from football, and he just like, he wasn't mentally there, and you could tell he was not doing well.
Yeah.
And he got lambasted by the media, by the public for being weak.
Yeah.
And he's not, because he's still here, I think.
Yeah.
But like, had he kept going and saying, pushing it aside and just doing his job and going and playing football and stuff like that, he probably would turn into an Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and the thing with him, especially, that's a really good example that you bring up, Mike, is that he did what all of those, excuse me as I drop the microphone that I'm balancing on my hand. He did what so many people are jealous of. He knew what he wanted, and he did it and didn't give a shit what everyone else thought. Whereas all those people that are yelling and barking at him and saying, they are being selfish. They wanted him to do things for them, which was dance.
Monkey dance.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where I'm like, anyone, if you had the ability to retire at 25 from your job, everyone else in the world would congratulate you. If you're 25 and, hey, I saved enough money and I'm going to be able to retire now comfortably for me and my family, and they throw you a big party, you're doing wonderful. But because you're entertaining people.
And fantasy football numbers.
Exactly. And you have been given a time frame, which is approximately 12 years from the time you are drafted to when your career is over as a starting quarterback in the NFL. Well, you're supposed to do that. It's just what everyone else does. Well, you see, I mean, look at Aaron Rodgers. Motherfucker is unhappy. I mean, he is just cantankerous.
He looks unhappy.
Yeah, he's just even though he's doing ayahuasca or whatever, you know, he's bath salts or whatever he's got going on. He does not look like he enjoys it. Now, Patrick Mahomes, he does. But the point is that people need to feel comfortable doing what it is that, especially in a violent sport like that, but what makes them feel good. If you hate your fucking job, why do you want to go? Just because a whole bunch of people tell you that they want to see you there? Hell, get off of here.
I know a lot of people feel, because when we worked in the water industry, a lot of guys are still there and slaving away because they're like, where am I going to make this money? I don't have a college education. Where can I do this and make that kind of money that I bring in and kill my body? Where can I go for that?
There's always an option. You just have to want to do it bad.
They can't see the forest through the trees, you know. Kind of on another sports figure, look what Simone Biles?
Yeah,
Biles.
Exactly.
It's like, once you have more people that are out in the public stand up for their own health, do these things, I don't think the masses are going to accept it.
But they dragged her too, and it's like, I mean,
they tried to. I think she did a pretty good job though.
Yeah, and Naomi Osaka or whatever.
Yeah. She was a tennis player.
Yeah. She just was like, look,
Australian Open last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's just like the same thing. It's like people are trying to drag them, and I'm like, for like Simone Biles, I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, you train for 4 years just to do this one thing, and for you to be like, damn, like I can't do it. I mean, that's pretty scary shit. You know, like running out and flipping, like she could flip wrong, hit her head, and die, or get.
This ain't table tennis.
No, not at all. And it's just like, for me, like I commend people like that.
Yeah.
To be like, damn, like I'm not right in the head, because you never know. I mean, you could end up looking like Aaron Hernandez
or anyone that has had. I mean, there's
and Aaron Hernandez is like the extreme, but you have Junior Seau, you have these other guys that have had traumatic brain injuries that their mental health is not good at all. There's a lot of football players, a lot of soccer players, a lot of anybody that gets hit in the head. That you saw he killed himself.
Yeah.
And there's another guy that was in the parking lot and shot himself in front of his coach. That was a pro player.
Yeah.
It's like, if it's not spoken about more often and socially accepted, we're gonna have a lot more of that. And the sad thing is one day it might be someone you love.
Exactly.
And more than likely, I mean, I think the statistics would probably back it up that it has touched our lives in one way or another. If you're over 40 years old, there's a really high likelihood that you know of somebody that has committed suicide.
I know quite a few.
And I know going back to high school,
Yeah.
it occurred. And if we could have just had, because it's so sad. He must have been. There was an opportunity there to make a connection possibly. And I'm not saying we have to go make friends with everyone. But if we can be mindful of ourselves and take care of ourselves, then we're in a better position to help others.
Mm-hmm.
Because what do you say, Gary? Hurt people,
mm-hmm.
right?
Exactly.
And that's something that it's this weakness thing, though, that I'm seeing in the loop right now. And portraying mental health as some form of weakness. And I think that that's just projection on the parts of these guys that are saying it. And maybe there's women out there that feel the same way. But a lot of times it's probably pretty true that they've got some pain in their past that they don't want to confront. Exactly. And that's what this all boils down to. It's our willingness to face our past. And I'm not talking Facebook.
And then look yourself in the mirror too. I mean, that's the toughest thing, to be like, damn, like I got to work on myself. Damn, I got to, go to the gym. I got to read some books. I got to go to therapy. Like, it's easy just to be like, to fucking have a bottle or, to go find a person just to spend some time with. Like that's the saddest shit to me, honestly.
I would really like to hear from some of our female listeners on what they think of their guy or someone they're in their family or whatever that they're close to, how they would feel about having someone that shuts down and doesn't do anything and they don't talk about it, or someone that actually is in tune with their feelings and talks to them about it. Because I know for the most part, most women like communication,
right?
And so I'm kind of leaning towards that they would like to hear us talk more about our feelings, whether we want to do it or not. But it's a great way to be intimate with not having that physical intimacy, but just being intimate with your,
right,
throwing feelings around, I guess, but just talking.
But yeah, for me, like I kind of got like a taste of what like communication and stuff like that used to be, because I recently talked to my uncle. Like, we just talked on the phone, and
the uncle.
Yeah, and.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he was just telling me about all the problems that he's having, like at his house, or well, not his house, the house that he lives in with his mom and siblings and stuff like that. And I'm just
the compound.
Yeah. And I'm just sitting here thinking like there's no like communication. There's no like talking equally. Like, he's still saying like, we're arguing, we're grabbing X, Y, and Z. We're saying we're gonna do this, and this, and I'm like, that's not how you fucking solve problems.
That's
like,
not how humans communicate.
Yeah, and I just think
not caveman mentality.
Yeah, just like, for me, like I just think about how I used to live like in this environment. I'm just like, damn, like I'm proud of myself for getting out of that, and also like that I don't communicate like that.
Well, and I can kind of speak to, I know we're running short on time, but right. I can speak to that a little bit too, because I always blamed my environment for not being able to talk about myself because it wasn't safe. I didn't feel safe to talk about what I was feeling because I didn't know what to do or who to even do that for. And so I'm glad I had the wherewithal to reach out, and I had the support from other people to say, maybe you should probably go talk to someone. And now I can freely talk about it. But had I not been in that spot, like kind of where your uncle is, it's how do you, my question would be is how do you get to that place where you get the help that you find the help that you need? Well,
that's the point of disgust that we've talked about, and actually having that willingness to say, fuck, I mean, this is just, whether it's the bottle, whether it's womanizing, or writing for 15 hours a day, anything that is not in moderation, that is causing you a bad time in your personal life. You get to a point where you have to either put up or shut up. You either continue on in misery
and let it kill you.
Yeah. Or you engage it and you say, okay, I'm going to overcome this and feel better for it. Because I think that as the three of us sit here, all of us can admit that we feel better when we engage with it. But that is not a weakness in any way, shape, or form, I don't think, by saying, hey, I acknowledge the bad things I did in the past.
But I didn't used to think that way. I used to feel it was a weakness to talk about it.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
because that's what everybody says it is.
Yep. And that's what's beat into our head in childhood and middle school is the toughen up. And I firmly believe in the being mentally tough. And if somebody comes at you with some heat, that you can stand it and that you don't fold like a cheap tent and don't say mean words to me. That's not what this shit is about. That is... You're setting yourself up just like training for the Olympics. You train to be able to handle those situations in a more positive light so that no one gets hurt in your case, Gary, or you don't want to hurt a family member because of the way they treat you. So that's one of the things that I really wanted to try to get across in this show is that for the guys out there that are listening and, these guys are just a bunch of pansies because they talk about their feelings. That's not what it's about. It's about training our mind so that we're set up for our family and our friends down the road to help them when they try to engage in this in this journey, because it really is a journey.
It's an awfully lonely world to not have someone really truly know you.
Oh, yeah.
You can put up the fake face of like Facebook and shit like that, and you can pretend to be who you really want to be, but you don't have the balls to really be that person because you don't have what it takes to step out.
Yeah, and do what. And I'm not trying to put us on a pedestal whatsoever. That's not what our goal is.
No,
with this.
and that's not what I'm saying.
No.
I'm saying
no. I'm not saying that. You're
I'm saying that I got to a point where I stopped blaming everybody else, and I looked inward and started blaming myself for my own mistakes and taking ownership of that and saying some of the shit on here that, last couple episodes and owning it. And it's my story. You can say shit to me. Yeah. It's not going to affect me.
But you just said the word ownership,
accountability,
however we want to frame it, that I think a lot of these people are running from. And I think that the youth are really struggling with it because we have a generation of people that were raised on participation trophies. If there's one thing that I think has done a world of hurt to mental health, it's this thought that everyone is or deserves gratitude just for arriving, just for showing up. No, there's a reason that society has a hierarchy, because those that are willing to put in more effort are going to ascend that hierarchy, and those that won't, because it's kind of like a bell curve. I mean, there's always going to be somebody on the bottom. There has to be.
Yeah.
But you can always try to pull yourself up if you want to. You got to have that want. And a lot of times it's beat into their head that, no, you're just fine the way you are. Everyone is just, homogenized. Exactly. And you look at social media and you see that a message it's a drumbeat in your mind, whatever section of the social media that you get into. But you have to try to break yourself out of that cycle and say, no, I'm going to do this because it will make me a happier person at my core. And I think that's
it's not, I mean,
but you got to want to be happy.
It was painful at the beginning.
Oh, I'm sure.
Facing all the shit that you've been through or I've been through, but I wouldn't trade it for anything.
No.
Being where I'm at now. And it didn't take that long. When you hear a year and a half, or 2 years, it's like, man, that's a long time. But when you're in it, it goes so fast.
Yeah, it's just like having kids. I mean, you blink and they're 16.
Or 18, just drove away.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and it's, I just wanted to make sure that we cover that, because I know that you've kind of heard some of that, Gary, and I'm sure you have as well. But it's something that I'm starting to see spring up. And as our reach continues to grow, I'm sure we will be at some point, I'm not going to call it attacked, but somebody will bring that up. And I want to make sure that we've got some stuff down about that, because I don't want anyone to misconstrue mental health with weakness. It takes a hell of a lot of strength to sit here and confront what all of us have in our past. And we don't have to talk about the dirty stuff on air, but we know that it's there. And we say, okay, and especially when we've made mistakes, owning that shit and saying, hey, I fucked up.
And I think the reason, the reason I did put myself out there like that is because there are a lot of other guys out there like that. And if I can overcome it, which I haven't thought that I could overcome much because I'm only this person, but if I can do it, anybody else can fucking do it if they really truly want to.
Yeah. The same thing I say about losing weight. I mean, if I can do it, I guarantee you can do it as well. So,
yeah,
but I think too, just like
60 pounds tomorrow.
Yeah, but I think too, just like putting it in the atmosphere is just good. I just think that like even when we first started talking about like losing weight, like I've lost 20 pounds now, and I think
you Gary, hard body Gary over there. Can I hug you from the back?
Wow.
Yeah, we'll save that for after the show.
Yeah, that's the after party.
Yeah, but you guys can leave my house when you do that, though.
Oh. But I think it's good just to talk about things with people, just put it out. And I just think that can help kind of spread the good word.
Absolutely. And not be offended by people or everything, but offended by different opinions. I could have gone on the attack on these people that I have seen. I mean, I could have stitched them and basically gone carpet bomb. I want to engage in an actual discussion, though, because if we're going to be true to what I believe, which is that we can all live together happily ever after, then I don't want to do that. I want to address the situation on the platform that we have. So, and in a positive way, because that's what I see is so much of it is negative and condescending, and that's the first thing people are going to shut down. If you see unless you agree with it, if you see somebody being condescending, you're like, that guy's just being an asshole. So, as we begin to wrap things up here, you have any final words of wisdom for us, Gary?
I don't know. So I think my final words would just be, don't worry about focusing on people's highlights, like in their social media and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Don't get caught up in the bullshit, And I think that things that you could be currently dealing with, or could have dealt with before in your past, other people are going through these things. You're not the only one going through this journey, and your story could actually help somebody else, and that's what it's about. We got to be more willing to give a hand, open up your arms to give somebody a hug, rather than.
So you're going to give me a hand?
Oh yeah, two.
I could use one. No, you're exactly right.
Yeah, we just got to help people, I think, too, and that's it.
Mike?
My final words would be, unplug and get connected face to face, not digitally. Just go out and meet someone if you don't know anyone, or connect with your friends, connect with your family if you haven't spoken to, and just go out to coffee. Take them out to coffee. Grab a bite to eat. Grab a drink if you drink. Not alcoholics. Stay away from alcohol. But just get engaged.
In real life, IRL.
In real life.
Yeah. And I watched that movie. Have you guys ever seen Ready Player One?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Watch that movie. It's
movie.
about a video game, but it's about
it's a metaverse.
Metaverse, and and it is kind of.
But it's old though, right? 80s or something.
No.
It's
new.
2010
a couple years ago,
or 15 or something.
Okay.
Steven Spielberg directed it.
Okay.
But it's about how the online relationship in 2045. So
yeah. Okay.
I like to recommend that because that's
what the metaverse is.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. But yeah, it's kind of piggybacking on what you guys are saying. It's about being positive, engaged, and not taking these steps and believing that it's weakness. Because I guarantee you that if you're the head of your household or your family as a man, and you tell you that your family that I'm going to try to become a better person, I don't think any of them are going to look down on you for that and think that you're weak. So is that it?
Amen.
With that,
Preach.
everyone, go on, King. We appreciate everyone listening. As always, you can find us on the socials at ManVsMood on all of them. With that, we go.